Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say here very categorically that the fight against corruption in our country shall remain a mirage. We have the best institutions that are supposed to be very independent, and they are supposed to coordinate among themselves to ensure that there is justice to the Kenyan citizens and justice to those who are prosecuted, and to ensure that they recover assets and pieces of property that belongs to the public coffers. But in the latest development, there is a disconnect among the institutions that are supposed to be working to ensure that perpetrators of corruption are brought to book. We have the DCI, we have the Office of the Public Prosecution, and then we have the EACC, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. They're supposed to be working together. And of course now the courts will also come in at the final stage when suspects are being arraigned in court. But I want you to look at what is reported there, that Henry Rotich Dam's case, magistrate expresses frustration with prosecution, and it goes on to say that a magistrate has taken issue with the manner in which officers from the Director of Public Prosecution are conducting the 63 billion Arror and Kimware dams case against former Finance Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich and 8 others. Now, in a nutshell, this is what is happening. The anti-corruption chief magistrate that is talking there, who expressed her frustration, is called Eunice Nyutu. Now, Eunice Nyutu is saying that every time the officers from the DCI come during the mentioning of this case, they would always be asking for adjournment of this case. And in the latest development, they now brought in another story, because you all know that the office of the Director of Public Prosecution has been vacant. The other day, Igonga, the new DPP there, just took out of office the other day. So the investigation department came and requested Madam Eunice Nyutu, who is the chief magistrate from the Anti-Corruption Commission or Magistrates Court, that in light of the fact that we have a new DPP, they are now requesting the court to adjourn this case again. And this did not go down well with the chief magistrate, Eunice Nyutu. And she expressed her anger. One of the things that she was wondering, because these junior officers who come to request for adjournment are saying that they are sent from the DCI's office, most probably from a senior person. And the judge was asking, why can't the person sending you do a formal letter requesting the courts, giving reasons, legal, tangible reasons, why the court should consider adjourning this case forever? And just look at how the frustration in her statement, the tone of the statement will tell you. This is what Madam Nyutu said. She was saying, it is now 3 weeks and these faceless officers have been given oral instructions to secure an adjournment of this matter, awaiting the assumption to the office of Igonga. Igonga is the new DPP. And she went ahead to say, the plea to have this case adjourned is hindering the way I work. I am employed and I must be productive. This request to suspend the trial hinder my work. I need to be accountable. I will not adjourn this case. Let's proceed. Put the witnesses in the dock. That is Ms. Nyutu. She was definitely frustrated and vexed at the same time. Because she's now, I like the way she puts it. She's saying that she must be accountable. She's employed. Anytime you come and tell her that you're requesting for adjournment, you're telling her that because we have a new DPP in town, so we should adjourn again. No wonder she's describing the people who sent the DCI, the investigative officer, faceless. There are people who are sitting somewhere in the office, they pull the strings, they send those emissaries, and you wonder, will we make any progress? And this is the reason I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, that the fight against corruption will remain a mirage. Because you can imagine a full magistrate, a chief magistrate, who is sitting to handle a case that involves not millions of shillings, billions, not 1 billion, not 10 billion. We are talking about 63 billion case. A chief magistrate expressing anger, displeasure, and disappointment against her fellow officers who are supposed to be working together to bring justice to Kenyans. This case started during the Ruto regime when they were together. It led to the ouster of the former finance cabinet secretary. But it seems that the cartels that were involved in this dam will not allow this case to proceed. And that is why they are hell-bent on trying to frustrate. And let me tell you what is going to happen here. Those who are supposed to bring a tangible case are the very people who are frustrating this. So what will happen is that when the judge will weigh the evidence, there will be a very weak evidence that does not warrant sentencing someone to jail, and that is how the money will be lost, and that is how some people will be free. And I'm not trying to preempt. I'm not a judge. I'm not privy so much to the case. But the person who is frustrated is the person who is supposed to be handling this case. This is just but one of them, a tip of an iceberg. How many cases and how many judges do you think are being frustrated? Because the chief magistrate is now coming out in the public to complain so that should this case be dropped, then she has washed her hands. She's only expressing to you that this case is maybe not going anywhere, because they shall conduct a shoddy investigation. They will present a very weak, half-baked investigation that does not warrant jailing of anyone. And that is how some cases are dropped. I remember immediately Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua took oath of office. There were cases against people like Aisha Jumwa, DP Rigathi Gachagua, and several people who are friendly to the powers that be. Their cases were dropped, ranging from land cases to some corruption cases to murder cases. And the prosecution was saying that there was lack of evidence, lack of proper evidence, because on legal matters, there has to be tangible evidence that something happened, proven beyond reasonable doubt that it happened. So if I was a prosecutor and I want to save someone's face, I will conduct a shoddy and just write some shoddy. I will be looking at loopholes to ensure that this case collapses. And it seems that is what is going to happen. And I believe it is happening because the independent officers are never independent. We have a DCI who is on record during the demonstrations who gave us pictures from, I don't know, Congo, Democratic of Congo, of people who are demonstrating there, and gave the faces and portraits and images of people and saying, we are looking for these people because they were looting, they were engaged in mass action and destruction of property. On further scrutiny, he was caught pants down and he had to apologize. That is the kind of office we are dealing with. We have the office of the DPP, Director of Public Prosecutions, who has confessed to the nation that he was being coerced during the Uhuru regime to prosecute people, to level charges against people. Whether this is true or not, it indicates a very weak office. An office and a trend that office can never be sacredly independent. They work at the command of the executive. And whenever an independent institution shall be taking instructions from a third party, trust me, there is no justice. Because some of them will be politically instigated. A Chando is not reading from the same page with you politically. He does not subscribe to your political ideologies. You simply send people to arrest him and to, start frustrating him the way I saw what was happening with Matiang'i. Once you start settling political scores, then the country cannot move forward. Number two, the independent officers know very well the standards that have been put. It is like your child. Your child will only behave in a manner that you have set your standards. You know that there are children who will play outside up to Sambili Usiku because they know when they come back you don't have a problem with it. But there are other children who will be playing, it knocks 6 and their antennas are high. They will say, I'm going home, because they know daddy and mommy have raised the standards that by 6 I should be at home. So the images that we see, the theatrics, is about the standards that have been set by the executive, by the Kenyan government, because they know very well that we are not serious about fighting against corruption. There is no zero tolerance against corruption. Someone have said this before. There is this joke that when our president was campaigning, there isn't any one moment he stood to talk about corruption. The only thing he said about corruption was it was being politicized, it was used to target people who supported him. But he never once stood and said that he was going to fight corruption. And if you conduct an opinion poll, you will realize that the faith towards this government when it comes to fighting corruption is a little bit low. You can do your own, you can conduct your own research there. And when you see such things, ladies and gentlemen, it diminishes our hope. We will be losing so much money in an environment where people are taxed left, right, and center, in an environment where the cost of living is just too high, and you wonder, where are we headed? This case is dead on arrival because there is no political goodwill. The other day I saw a team, the ombudsman team from Botswana, who came for benchmarking in the country, and I criticized. Some people were telling me that I sounded pessimistic, that there is nothing good that can come out from this government. It is because of their behavior and demeanor that prompts me to think the way I'm thinking. Because I thought, like, whenever people are going for benchmarking, you should be looking at someone who has got better services or goods than yours. You, for example, when you go for a benchmarking for corruption, you need to look for a country that has got better ways, that has got no record of frustrating, criminal cases, corruption cases. In our country, I opined that we don't have the political goodwill. And this is a story that corroborates my sentiments. There is no political goodwill. There is no country that can fight corruption if there is no political goodwill, if it is not orchestrated from the top. As long as the president and the deputy do not want to fight corruption, it won't continue. But if they show commitment that they want to fight corruption, I'm telling you, it can take them just one day. Do you know what it means? It only takes a few people. Just get a few influential individuals, those who are close to the president, those who are close to the DP. Let them serve as an example. Let the independent institutions take their own action, deal with them. And when someone is charged, let them not call you. Let them face the music. Let them carry their own cross. And you will see mambo yamenyooka hivi, a straight line. But as long as I know that mimi nikishikwa, kuna mtu fulani nitampigia, and those billions tunaweza gawa, this fight against corruption will go nowhere. And that's why I'm telling you that it is a mirage. We are still very far from achieving zero tolerance against corruption. And as long as there is corruption, even the economy that the president continues to talk about, that he's building an economy that he found ailing, it won't be. The last one, let me tell you. I remember in 2002, for those who were there and they can remember, when NAC got into power, Mwai Kibaki as the president, and Michael Kijana Wamalwa as the vice president. The team was big. People like Martha Karua, Raila Amolo Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka. People had got so much hope and faith that they frog-marched a police officer found taking bribes on the roadside. That is what you can ask. That is what used to happen. I remember at some point, a police officer was caught taking bribe and he had to swallow that money. It was, I think, a 50 shilling coin or something, just to ensure that he's not found with that evidence. But look at the situation where we are. Today, a police officer decided to call for reinforcement to harass and apprehend, I think, a driver or a conductor who had charged him yesterday. He was in a vehicle and he was told, leap a fare. And he got annoyed. So with that, they decided to arrest him, according to the story that is coming. And you all know that they take bribes here and there. Why? It starts from the top. With the IDs, you remember the interior minister going, was it to Nyayo House, trying to clear all the cartels. The cartels are also even in the tea and coffee industry. Our deputy president is complaining. So we can't weed out the cartels. They are still controlling each department. And that's what I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen. It is a mirage. They are faceless individuals somewhere, sitting in big and high offices, making calls, pulling the strings, frustrating even a magistrate, a chief magistrate. Bado unataka kupinga. Bado unataka kuona ni kana kwamba tunapinga kila kitu. I've always said this. If William Ruto succeeds, we all succeed. If he fails, we all fail. We always want him to succeed.